And I'm not certain if there's anyone actually watching right now. But the truth of the matter is, I am currently getting everything set up for this broadcast. So give me just a few more minutes. Alrighty. Hello. Yes, hello, and welcome to the show. And yes, like I said, I'm doing YouTube now. Twitch was just... something was wrong with it. So, I am now going to be live on YouTube. I might do the Patreon sculpts on Twitch, but for right now, it's here. So, for those who don't know, I did get the most recent Patreon mini printed. He came out really nice. Big old cyberpunk dwarf with a big old beard and a big old gun. And at the same time, I got the dwarven paladin, first level paladin, you might say. You know, I'm gonna zoom in so you can see him. I'm starting to paint him. Lighting is changing his color scheme a little bit, but you get the picture. He's not even part way finished. He's just got some base colors. The flesh tones and that might be okay. That right there is a hole that I created due to my sloppiness in removing the supports, but oh well. Oh, it goes here. Let's go back there. Okay, so what am I doing tonight? I'm being a bit goofy tonight, for one. For another, one thing I've noticed looking over here, and that's that except for one ranger and 3 orcs, there's no polearms. Lots and lots of swords, several axes, a couple maces, but only one human using, or one player character race using a polearm. That's a ranger with a spear. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to make an epic warrior type wielding a polearm. One of the polearms that I've already got, just because I've got plenty. I've made several polearms that I've never used. Go figure. Yeah, that's the way it is. So, yeah. Meanwhile, because of the slight delay and everything going on, it's gonna be a couple minutes before I actually get started here. But anyway, the big question is, should I make him human or should I make him an elf? Swoosh. I don't know if I'm going to... If I make him anything like the cliche from Warhammer, you know, that's going to be a long coat of plates and, you know, just... No. but I am going to make him, the stylized armored warrior. Now, let me get some soda. I'm going to give it about another couple more minutes to see if anyone shows up. And then, well, I'll be getting started. Might show off a couple other paints that I've done, paint jobs. Most recently, for those who are familiar with the Outside Xbox and Outside Extra channels, I've done paintings of, well, let me zoom in. Where's my camera zoom? There it is. I've done, oh, come on. There we go. Egbert the Careless, Dragonborn, and Prudence the Warlock. So yeah. So I see now what's coming up next is we're going to be sculpting their figure, and we're going to be making sure that what we've got fits the concept we've got in mind. I have, who is this? Hello, Narthor. Welcome. Yes, I'm actually on YouTube now. And as the title says, I'm going to be making a Polearm Master. In fact, it's time for me to go ahead and skip on over that studio. Now, one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to give him an old style tunic that I had made a while back. This is going to end up becoming his actual armor. And as for props, well, he definitely needs a polearm, but the question is, I've got several that I've made. I mean, I've got everything from trident to a great spear, a couple different glaives, a halberd, and I think I have a Naginata. I'm not sure, but I wouldn't use a Naginata on this figure. I might use one of my glaives. Yeah, there we go. I'll use a fancy fantasy glaive. Yes, look at that. It's a fancy fantasy glaive. Whee! And then, one thing I do have to do is I need to go ahead, since I decided to do this, he's going to be an elf. Let's go ahead and give him the boot toppers, because he's going to be using boots and not sabatons. Where is it? There it is. Boot cuffs. And we got somebody else in here. Let's see who we got. Don't see, I can't see who all's in chat. Or can I? Nope. I can't see who's in chat. Oh wait, here we go. Ah. And there's only 2 of us actually participating, so I don't get to see who all's just watching. Oh well. Anyway, yeah, I'm starting to learn. Now, this guy here, that's the basis for our Polearm Master. We're going to make him look a bit cooler than this when we actually get done. Posing. Yes, pose is very important. So what we're going to do first, we're going to hide his clothing. because this makes it easier to select the individual body parts. Now, let's see, we're going to have him, let me think here. How about like this? You're standing up, holding it blade. So for that, what we're going to need to do is I need to make sure that the center of this thing is in the center of his hand. It's going to sound odd, I know, but so I'm going to move this to here, this to there. Now I go to the left view, and there. Now I go to the front view because I also have to change its angle. Alright, tool settings. Now you can't see all of this because my face is covering it up. Y position is 16.01. That's what we need to change here. And now the next thing we need to do is Z rotation 45. There we go. Now, let's see what happens when we Y rotate it 180. Oh, perfect. Exactly how I wanted it to be. It's a little, it needs to be moved a little bit, but not badly so. There. And we're going to go to the left view, and we're going to kind of bring it back this way a little bit. And now we have the polearm in the right position for the pose we're going to be giving him. Okay, now we select the hip, and we're going to start from here. Now we need to go slightly side by side. Alright, let's see. Alright. So his hip would tend that way, yes. And it would also kind of bend a bit like that. Okay. And then his chest and abdomen both will side to side the opposite way. And we're going to twist them just a little bit. And bend them forward just a little bit. Just remember, when you get around to making your own figures, you want your hips and shoulders to not be parallel to each other or to the ground. For example, you need to bring this side to side quite a bit more. And then the chest will be side to side a lot more this way. We're going to twist the leg. That's nothing like sweeping the leg. And we're going to bend it forward just a little to bring it even to the ground. No. Wrong way. We need to bend it. Oh. We need to bend it back a little. And then bend the calf. Too much, just bring it forward some. And then bend the foot. And this is going to end up being the foot on the ground, so let's go ahead and just bend this way up here to get just to get it out of the way. And then zoom in, front view. Okay, so we're now going to side to side it a little bit back this way and bend it some more. And bend the toe back a little. And Control D. And that foot is on the ground. So now, with this leg, we're going to unbend it because it doesn't need to be there. Well, we're going to bend it a little bit. And then we're going to bend the calf back a bit. And bend the foot quite a bit. And I think we need to bend the leg forward a bit more than that. Bend. Oh. And this should be close. So let's go back to the front view. And let's go over to this foot. And we are almost exactly perfect. What I really need to do is I need to unbend it just a little. And then bend this toe a little. Then side to side it. Oh, wrong way. There we go. Let's bring the abdomen forward a little. Okay. He's still off balance, so we need to bring the abdomen a bit more forward. And a bit more of a twist to the upper torso. We're going to side to side the head. And twist. And we're going to bend back the neck and side to side it. Actually, let's undo the side to side. Okay, now we're going to start working with the collars because we need these collars moved. Okay, and let's see. Let's bring them. This one definitely needs to come forward. And bend forearm. No. Twist it a bit more. Actually, let's twist it from the collar. Yeah, and then side to side. Actually, we also need to bring this forward a bit more. And less side to side. However, we can twist, actually, yeah, let's twist this a lot less. Twist this so that on first view, bend back the wrist, and just for the heck of it, let's slide this back a bit more. There we go. And I actually kind of like that stance with this weapon. We can bend the, actually we can now bend the abdomen back a little because this weapon is heavy enough that it helps us shift our balance point. Now, we're going to twist this shoulder and bring it up. Now we're bringing the arm here up. And we're going to twist it to try to get it up. A bit too much of it. Let's. And in case what we're trying to do here is trying to get it so that the hand is on. Actually, no. I need to untwist the shoulder a bit and raise the collar. Okay, now just gotta tweak this a little bit, because and there we go. And then we're gonna bend the thumb, twist it just a little bit, but oh, wrong way. There we go. And that's still not quite enough, but you're getting the picture of how his stance is going to be. Just bring this out. Oh, too much. Bring it out just a bit more. There. Almost perfect for our Polearm master. Actually, let's go ahead and unbend that abdomen a bit more. Yeah. You can then bend the head down so he has a more serious mien. And let's see how it looks with the boot cuffs and tunic. Okay, it's not looking too bad. I wonder what would happen if I took this and I Z-scaled it, stretched it. Made it a little bit longer. There we go. We have our elven Polearm master, at least our initial status for it. Now, one thing we've got to do with this tunic that we didn't have to do with the figure is we've got to negative rotate. We gotta undo some of these rotations. So left eye here twist is 32.81. So negative 32.81 straightens it out. Right thigh here is no twist. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna undo some of that while still retaining. Yeah, there we go. Anyway, what we're going to do, first thing is we're going to hide the boot cuffs, the thigh, and the glaive. No, not the thigh. Hide the boot cuffs and the tunic and the glaive. And we're going to export this as an OBJ file into, not in blend shape, broadcast miniatures, new elf Polearm fighter. Accept. We're going to hide him, make those visible, and export these. Polearm clothes. Then we're going to make the glaive visible, hide these, file, export, elf Polearm props. Or weapon, WPN. There we go. Okay. Now, next thing we're going to do is we're going to be leaving Dad's studio. And we're going to be going to ZBrush. Here. Now this little star here, that's, just a placeholder. I'm import, and I'm going to import the fighter himself. And this is how he looks in ZBrush, which is, currently, Then I go to Subtool, Append. I pull in that placeholder, and I import his clothes. And then I append another placeholder, import his weapon. So right now, we have this in ZBrush. If you want to take a screenshot, go ahead. That does look like a rather large, slashy, pokey thing, doesn't it? Pardon me for a second. I honestly don't remember why I made that thing. I was just futzing around, playing around, and I made that instead of making some weapons that at the time I still needed to make for, actual usage. Okay, we're going to go ahead while we're here and while we're still low poly, and we're going to smooth out some of this. So we're going to bring the smoothing down to about 8 and smooth that, and the underside of the belt and the overside of the belt, or the backside. Yeah. I had a question back on Sunday that I didn't get to see until it was already too late. The guy had already left. And it was about, do I use a mouse or a tablet for my sculpting? And the answer is both. The tablet is good for actual detail things, but the mouse is good for when I need to do 100% effort on something. In case you're wondering, I'm right now going through and making some tweaks that I need to make on tools before I start doing work. Okay. Frame out. Now, we're going to go back up to him and hide the clothing. And one thing we're going to do is I'm going to shrink my mouse. Not quite that bad. And break out the tablet. Because there's something I've noticed that I really need to take care of, and that's the ear morph on the elf. It's kind of folded over. No, that's not, I'm going to deal with that later. Anyway, I'm going to use the inflate brush and very gently inflate the lower lip to close the mouth. I've been having a problem relatively recently, as I've noticed as I've been painting, that the lips on my figures and some other areas of the mouth aren't really clear. It's not distinct on the figure. So by making the mouth, the lip a little bit bigger, I'm then going to use Move Topological and the larger brush and start adjusting his expression. It's going to come back down this way. He's a little grim. And then bring this up, bring this down. Give him almost a Spock-like. And once again, shrink the mouse, go back to inflate, and I'm going to inflate his brow. Coming up like that. For the same reasons that I did for the lip, the brows aren't as clear as they could be. Now, most of what I'm going to do from here on out really needs his clothing on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take him and I'm going to merge down. So there's now one subtool. Anything from here will be based on this. Now we are going to Dynamesh him 768 and a blur of 0. The sole purpose of totally screwing up. Okay, undo. We got to subdivide them first. Now we Dynamesh them at 768 and 0 blur. Yeah, I screwed up. And hey, if you're watching, please say something. Say hi. Tell me what, you know, did I just do something that you don't like on your figures? You know, whatever. Also, you know, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell, because I kind of, well, I do have a schedule. Apparently, good old YouTube doesn't let you know if I go live because it's, you know, being all goofy like that. Now I'm going to uninflate very gently the underarm here because of the way that this worked. It ended up bending the underarm somewhat. Give it a bit of a straightening. Same thing here. But the next thing I'm going to do has nothing to do with our good old tunic here. Instead, I'm going to be giving him a breastplate. And to do that, I needed this kind of under. Now, the breastplate is not going to be shaped like a normal medieval style. I'm going to come in down here. First things first, move this mask focal shift to -100. I'm going to shrink it down, and I'm going to draw on the size and the shape. Okay. Mm-hmm. Let's make it a little bit bigger, because again, I'm getting more experience of seeing how these details look once they're actually printed, and they're usually not as large as I think they are on the sculpt. Like this right here needs to be a lot bigger for it to show up. Now, going to come here and come in this way. This is actually going to be on top of a slightly lower breastplate, but and then come up here. Okay, that's a nice little shape. And we got to come around into the back. And just loop it into a sharp corner. And then once again, sharpen those edges. And then come up to here. And come up to here. Actually, I'm good. There. Actually, let's erase that, because that's just way too much. It would be here. And then let's get this all filled in. Like I said, this will be the outer breastplate. There will be a portion it sits on top of that will be the inner breastplate. We want him to be a warrior, not a... Okay. There we go. I'm going to zoom out. Now we're going to extract this. And what that does, that creates a duplicate mesh and extract at 0.035. Too thick. 0.025. Extract. Accept. Draw here. And then we're going to draw on him to unselect there. Now, it's looking pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and on geometry, we're going to Dynamesh at 256. Undo that. And we now have basic. We're going to now subdivide it a couple times. Just to look real quick, I'm going to go ahead and smooth out the torso. That's a bit bulgy. And then bink and subdivide. Delete lower. Now I'm going to use move topological and a slightly smaller brush to try to sharpen the edge on this. Because we want this kind of sharp. That's all we really need. And then here. Yeah. Alright, now the next thing we're going to do, make it a lot larger. We're going to pull this part out and down slightly. Actually, we need to make this the regular move. Out and down slightly. Out. Over here. Out and down slightly. And then the chest. This out slightly. And the back. Out. 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 The reason I'm doing this is because we want to kind of exaggerate the difference between the breastplate below and the breastplate above. I guess you could make this as like some kind of dark elf. What with the shape of the armor plate and the shape of the glaive. And now frame. We are now going to hide. We're going to go back up to him. We're going to hide this for the most part. And now we're going to just fill in the rest of the breastplate. So we drop that down. Now this is going to be more normal. Although I'm probably going to have to clean up some of the top edge of this breastplate so it kind of hangs just a little bit below the okay. Okay, and this. Looks good. Although I need to make it a little bit wider here. And bring this up like that. Okay, much better. Now, turn this off, zoom in, and with a even smaller brush, come in and clean off the edge of the collar. Okay, now we're going to extract this at 0.02. No, it didn't work. What happened? Let's remove it. Alright. One thing we're going to do, just to make sure that it, because there was a line down the middle, there was an edge. So we're going to go ahead and grow the mask just by 1. Now we're going to, back to our subtool and extract. And accept. Now we're going to unselect that. And we're going to unselect on him. So and then using the move topological, make the mouse a lot bigger. Drag it over and then back a little just to get it inside. And then we're going to grab this and we're going to drag it a lot bigger. And up here we're going to come down, back in, and then we're going to zoom in. I'm going to shrink this down and polish this until it goes away. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and subdivide it a couple times, delete lower. And it's time to start playing on this outer breastplate. Namely, I'm going to start giving it some detailing. So looping around, let's look, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to use the inflate tool for this. I'm going to increase this intensity. I'm going to shrink the mouse down a bit. And what we're going to do is we're going to start off, well, nope, I need the regular inflate, and then and then come in from here. No, that's not looking good. Let's do it by masking. Because masking we can do all at once, and we can either masking I can do a lot more editing with. And then bring this down to here. And come in from here. Come in like this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go down to masking. We're going to invert it, and then we're going to start blurring it. Then we're going down to deformation here, or up to deformation, and we're going to just play around with the inflate. There we go. Cool. Then we're going to use slash. Yes, we're using slash for the first time in this show. We're going to go to add, turn it down quite a bit, and go up. Make sure we turn lazy mouse off. Make it a good bit bigger, and then very gently, very lightly, draw a sharpening line. No, it needs to be bigger. Because what we're doing is we're refining the line of these edges here. Okay, and draw down. Yeah, it's definitely getting a kind of a dark elfy vibe here. At least a Warhammer dark elf. And then down here. And now we go back to subtool, go back to our main body. The breastplate looks more cohesive now. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to merge this down so that it's one subtool, so I can just click it on and off as needed. Now the next thing that's going to happen is bracers, but first soda. Soda. Okay, now what we're going to do with the bracers, we're going to make them, well, we're going to start off the old-fashioned way. And that's just the same way that we just did the breastplate. We're going to select a portion of the geometry that we're going to expand to turn into our bracers. Okay, that's about the same on both sides. Not quite exact, but then we're going to extract them at 0.03. Except we're going to draw to deselect, and then see, this is why I draw to deselect. It's still selected on the main body. So we now have select our bracers. We frame, zoom out just a little, and open up geometry and Dynamesh at 256. Now we're going to use the move tool, make it real big, and drag down. And we're going to do the same thing over on this side. We're just going to have it to where we can see the side view version. Okay. I'm going to kind of drag this down just a little bit like that, because in this case the arm is a little bit larger, a little bit longer. Okay. Now we're going to frame to see the whole thing. It's already got a very Warhammer Dark Elfy look. So we need to figure out what we're going to do with these. Well, besides subdividing them to get them enough geometry to actually do some decent sculpting on. I know. First thing that we'll do is we'll get out our little gemstone insert. And we're going to insert a big old gemstone onto the back of each. And that's too far. I've got to adjust the depth. Embed 0. That's too big. So let's grab it here, and so it's about 1/3. Yeah, that's about right. Now I draw. Actually, I better not draw. Split unmasked parts, because I'm going to have to make it a separate. I'm going to have to give it a different. Resolution. Oh, no. I didn't make it quite big enough. There. Is that about right? Yeah, that's about right. Split unmasked parts. Oh no. Don't tell me. Yeah. I've got 2 sets of bracers now. Alright, so let's delete that set. And now let's make sure. Okay, I don't have them. Okay, merge the 2 gems. So I can subdivide them a couple times. Okay, that's good enough. Alright, now we're going to do some sculpting on the bracers themselves. Now that we've done that, zoom in over here, and we're going to make each of these thingies that we're going to, both of these slightly different, deliberately. Now, we're going to use a standard brush for this. Make sure that it comes out about the way I want it. No, too big. One's good enough, yeah. And I'm gonna just kind of sharpen it. With the slash tool. There. And then I'm going to slash all the way up here. Oh no, I gotta do this at the right angle and a lot deeper. No. Okay. And now I'm going to bring that down. Just kind of draw in some swirls. Smooth it a little. Okay, that'll be, okay. And now I'm going to use the subtract, shrink it down quite a bit to go along the back face of this. No, I need it larger. Just to make sure it's nice and defined. Alrighty. That's one bracer, one kind of fancy dancy bracer. And then we've got another bracer to make. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and make this inner seam. Okay. Now the difference here is where this one has this kind of, oh yeah, I need to go ahead and subtract, go back to 10 and kind of come and sharpen around this trim just enough to make it more defined. Oh, started slipping there. There we go. Whereas that is more like a clamshell with two sides going on. This is going to be more of an echoey alright, so it'll be just looping around here. Still going to have that ripply look, but it's going to be a different kind of ripple. And then come around here and draw around. I'll go back to standard and draw here and draw here. I'll go back to slash and kind of draw around the outside of this curve and draw around the outside of this curve. Oh. For a lot of curves, it's better to have a relaxed swoop than to have a defined, than to carefully follow. Well, it's not always perfect, but it's a lot more likely to be appropriate. And one last, then slash. And the last one. Okay. A bit more soda. Okay, next thing that we're going to do is we're going to give him a skull belt buckle. I mean, all evil, nasty, bad guys need a skull belt buckle. Isn't that one of the, like, requirements of being an evil, nasty, bad guy? Having a skull belt buckle? Nice large one too. And then we're going to split masked points. Split unmasked points. And give this a subdivision a bit lower. Okay. You know, just like what he's currently got. He needs just a little bit more to bring it out. So we go back to him, and we're going to draw on, let's say, one large left hip plate, since that's the side that his spear's on, or his polearm's on, and the side he'd normally have towards the enemy, and a smaller one just kind of running down the side. Okay. So let me move it up and zoom in. Now, first things first, we're going to need straps for the plates. And this is going to be extracted at 0.15, no, at 0.02. And these are going to be dynameshed 128. No, they're not. At 256. And we are going to move topological to top, because this one ended up being a bit more rounded than I wanted. Okay. Now we go back to big guy. I need to smooth there. Make sure I've got any other spots. Okay. Let's hide the bracer, or let's hide the bracers and gems and breastplate. And then I'm going to hide this arm. Because this gives me a full freedom to draw the shape I want on here of the plate. We're also going to hide that, shrink it down a bit, and just get to drawing. And come around and then just kind of zoom that out. And clean that, and just to double check. Okay, actually let's go ahead and okay. There we go. And now on this side, it'll just be kind of a yeah. And turn it just a bit. And there we go. Now, let's go ahead and extract that at 0.03. Accept, draw, and draw. Now I'm going to put make that visible so it's easier to see. Now let's go ahead and select our brand new armor pieces, and we're going to dynamesh them at 256. Bing! And we're going to subdivide them until we have a decent amount of polygons to sculpt on. And I think it's a good idea to go ahead and detail these similarly to how we did this. So what we're going to do, we're going to start off with the standard brush. Gonna make sure it's got a decent intensity. Large and a little bit higher focal shift than normal. Alright, and so what we're going to do is we're going to start from here, and we're going to just simply... Oh, way too powerful. Way too powerful. Gonna come around like that. And then... No. Smaller, better focal shift. Yeah. I'm coming from here. And then, oh yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll put a gem right here. And let's split mask, unmask parts. And then I'm going to go back to standard and shrink it and intensity up and draw my setting for it. You may, oh, that didn't work. He may be a dark elf, but dark elves are still elves and they love their gemstones and the settings they're in. Okay, looks much better. Now we go to slash, add, intensity of 7, but the draw size pretty big. And we're going to draw in the sharpening of these ridges. That didn't come out right. Sharpening of these ridges. Okay. Frame out. Yeah, that really carried over. That's coming out pretty nicely. And now this side. What we're going to have here, we're going to have the standard brush. And we're going to shrink it a little bit. And we're going to come out first. Oh. We're going to lower the intensity. We're going to first come out like this. Then we're going to come around. No. Then we're coming around back like that. And then... yeah. And now we're going to slash. Okay. Let's frame out. Let's make everything currently on invisible. And make this particular gem, let's divide it a couple times to make it smooth. Okay. Go ahead, a bit soda. I don't think I need to add anything else now, except, oh, hair. I'm going to borrow a page from Games Workshop yet again. Can you guess what that will be? Anyone who's not watching? Yes, it will be. I am going to give him a mohawk. So I'm going to start. Make this smaller. And... and just because I need to make sure to make it flat and zoom down to here and then make it flat. Then, because I don't really think that's wide enough, let's move it back kind of towards the center. And we're going to masking, and we're going to grow the mask. Okay, that should be good enough. That's a nice thick mohawk. And we go back to subtool and we're going to extract it, but not at 0.3, but at 0.1. Instead of 0.03, a full 0.1. Yeah, that looks like it'll be pretty good. Question is, pardon me. Yes, it gets in the way of the oh, dang it. So let's see, what percentage gets in the way? About 50%. So let's go ahead and delete. Select on him. It's going to be 0.05. Extract. Accept. And I can tweak that. Okay, so first draw to unselect, draw to unselect, and geometry, Dynamesh 128. And then we're going to subdivide until it's, that should do. Now we're going to move topological, make it bigger, and we're going to actually kind of brush it down just a bit. Then we're going to grab the back center and pull it down. Grab up here, pull it out. Okay. Now we're going to hide. Well, first, I'm going to go ahead and merge down a couple of these. Okay. There. Now we're going to the extract. I'm going to hide that. A frame. Now you'll notice that it didn't quite move perfectly. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and Dynamesh it again and subdivide it a couple times until we get about 235. Yeah, there we go. Now we're going to zoom out, shrink the mouse down quite a bit. We're going back to the standard brush and we're going to give it an alpha. In this case, it's one that I did a while back. Where did I go? Where did I put that alpha? Nope. No. No. Where? Oh, there it is. Squishy hair. Open. And we're going to turn this to drag dot and Z sub. That's not enough, so we undo it and we increase the intensity quite a lot. That's not enough, so we increase the intensity quite a lot. And we basically come down here and start dragging the dots. This is giving it the kind of the pokey, squabbly hair surface that is often found on a lot of the Games Workshop figures that have buzz cuts or, you know, it's basically representing clusters of hair. And that's that. Now, all we got to do is use slash, subtract, pretty high intensity, and small draw size, moderately draw size, and draw in just some basic hair areas. Yeah, hair areas. Okay, so no, that's not good enough. It needs to be deeper, quite a lot deeper. And this is good. And just yeah. The last thing we need to do before we do anything else is we need to give some wrinkles to the clothing that's there. Oh, and tweak the hands. And we have about half an hour left of the usual time, so it should be pretty good to do. Alright, so what we're going to do, we're going back to the standard brush. And I'm going to stop my hiccuping. And I'm going to make it a little bit bigger and a lot weaker. I'm going to drop that back down to 10, turn it to dots, and turn off the alpha. And then I'm going to draw in some wrinkles. Whoop, no. And then some wrinkles back here too. Not huge ones, but ones that exist. So this is supposed to be heavy clothing, so therefore it's going to have heavy, kind of heavyweight wrinkles that are a bit more flowy and are kind of draw under the wrinkle. Not so much under as on the lower quadrants of the wrinkle, because that's where gravity puts it. And there we go. Now we're going to do the opposite on the underside of the wrinkle. Just underneath the wrinkle. Because that's what ends up catching paint well and ends up looking pretty good. Right. There's enough shapes in the sleeves to catch well. Oh, except no, the back. I lied. But I'm gonna do this slightly differently because. All right. So, 1, 2, and then underneath like this. And a smooth. And then the same thing over here, just because. Really smooth off the end, and then just a little bit of smoothing on the rest. Okay. And let's take our polearm and let's give it a little bit of subdivision, just so that it's nice and smooth. I don't think we need to. Yeah, we do need to add something to the end of it on both sides. A gem! Gem in the holograms. Yeah, remember that from the 80s? Yeah. And that would be split unmasked parts. No. No, in the opposite direction. That's good enough. Split unmasked parts. And then merge down with these two and subdivide them a couple times. Now let's merge everything down, frame it, and here we have our Dark Elf Polearm Master. Yay! However, I have forgotten to put a base on him. So let's go ahead and append. And we're going to import. Let's see, what base do I want to put on him? Not cobblestone. Let's make it planks. Simply because he's on a ship. At least for the Games Workshop style. They're more piratey type than underground type. Okay. And now let's zoom in on the feetsies and get this. Okay, it's looking like it's too far in that direction. So let's go back to Z. Now X. Whoop! No. And now X. Now let's frame out. Yeah. Now we're going to spin this randomly on Y. No, we're not. Just a little. And now we merge down. And I scratch my inner ear. One last thing, I'm going to go ahead and re-emphasize the mouth. By that I mean I'm going to take slash tool kind of deep. And I'm going to frame out there. Oh, Snikes, I forgot the knuckles. That's okay. I can do it from here in this state, thankfully. So we make sure. Oh, what do you know? That's perfect. Going to inflate. Make sure it's at 10, and we're going to draw on the knuckles on the back of the hand. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, and then smooth where it meets the wrist. Then we inflate the inside of that thumb, because that inside of that thumb is always a problem. I really need to get around to fixing the rigging on that thumb one of these days. Knuckle here, 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 and then knuckle here, here, here. And then we smooth out across the finger. Like that. In case anyone's concerned why it's going so easy compared to normal, that's because when I subdivided, I had a whole lot of things. Okay, smooth that out. And now over here, on this one, we're just going to do a little bit on the main knuckles and bring down the tendons, because we really don't need anything more. Oh, and smooth that out. Okay, now we frame, and I do believe we are ready. Yes, we are ready to go ahead and Dynamesh, then export the whole darn thing. Now, just to show how well the Dynamesh is working, we're going to zoom in on the gem on the end of the blade here. So we're going to Geometry, Dynamesh, Bing. Processing mesh plate faces, and there we go. We now have 1.155 million polygons and a single solid surface. However, that's still too much for most slicers, so we need to go to Z plugin, Decimation Master, and let's press Custom for 50,000 polygons, or 100,000 polygons, 50,000 points. And it's analyzing the mesh. It's going, is it going to work right today? It didn't work Sunday very well. Oh, it looks like it is. It looks like it is. Is it going to make it? 2/3 of the way there. 3/4. Hey. 90. And yes, it worked. And we're going to have about 100,000 triangles. Or to be exact, 100,116 triangles for our Dark Elf Polearm Master. So now all we do is export. And we're going to save this in our Broadcast Miniatures New. We're going to call it Dark Elf Polearm Fighter. Save. And it's saving. And that's it. So yes, at 9:42 I have finished today's sculpt with absolutely nobody watching. Do I even still need to still be doing this? Oh well. Well, I guess the next thing for me to do is go ahead and come back to the main camera. And just let you know that if it keeps going like this, I'm probably just going to quit. When I have nobody watching, what's the point of broadcasting these sessions. It's just not worth it. The amount of effort, and nobody cares. So I'm going to keep it up probably for the rest of the month, and we'll see where things go from there. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my hand up, and when I see my hand go from 5 to 1, like that, I'm going to stop the broadcast, and that'll be tonight's done for the evening, and it'll be Thursday at 8 here. So that'll be, once again, me talking at an empty chat box. So it'll be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.